All right, y'all. So why don't we start jumping on in? As always, as you come in, let me know, say hi, tell me you're here. Let me know if you're watching it on replay. Go ahead and let me know you're listening on replay. And if you have any questions when you're watching on replay, make sure you tag me so I can come back and see it. I don't always get notifications if you're just commenting, or maybe they just get buried. And if you're watching live and you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments as I'm chatting. I will come back and check every once in a while, just after each section, to see what kind of questions you guys have. All right, so let's get going. So the big thing, especially for y'all in here because you're business owners, is we've been waiting for the additional funding into the small business loan program, right? We have been waiting since, I think it was last Thursday, money ran out. And they finally, this week, the House passed it, the Senate passed it, went back to the House. And this morning, maybe I want to say 3 hours ago, it was signed into law by the president. We've actually already seen some EIDL grant money coming through, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So I think I don't think there's a pause in here. I think it got passed and banks were like, or the SBA was like, let's go. So first, let's talk about what this bill provides. So it infused $310 billion into the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Plan program. Not plan, it's a program. The Paycheck Protection Program. It added $310 billion to that. So for those of you that applied, maybe even if you were way back when, maybe you couldn't find a bank to work with and now you found one, maybe you're still looking, doesn't matter. The banks now have the money to start lending and start giving out this PPP money. Okay, guys? So if you applied before money ran out, check with your banks, see if there's anything else you need to do to get that process back up and running. Maybe you've been working with your lenders while the program was down in preparation for the money to be re-released. Maybe you were trying to find a bank to work with you and you hadn't found one and now you have one. Whatever the case is, get going. All right. If the PPP loan was something that was on your radar, something you were looking to get assistance from the government through, you got to move. All right. Because I don't anticipate this $310 billion staying around very long, because now, even though the banks they know what they're doing when the last time they didn't, but now that means they're going to be able to bust out more applications and get these approved faster. So make sure, if the PPP program loan was something you were going to look into for financing, you get with your bank or lender, whoever it is you're working with, ASAP and start that process. Or again, if you've already started it, check in with your banker, check in with your people, and make sure that your application is being processed. I don't know how many people we talked to where their banks just kind of fell off the face of the earth, stopped communicating with them. Like, make this work if this is something you were exploring. So this bill, you guys, also put $60 billion into the EIDL program. That was the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. So this is the one that, if you remember way back when all this first got passed, was the first one to be released. We applied for it directly through the SBA. It wasn't handled through a bank. It came with an advance or a grant portion, and then you were supposed to be able to then get a loan of up to $2 million. Remember that? Y'all with me? So they have infused $50 billion into the loan program and $10 billion into the grant program. And I've actually today seen people posting on Facebook that they're seeing their EIDL grant money hit their bank account. So that's really exciting. So be on the lookout. So if you filed or if you completed that application for the EIDL anytime after it was made available, keep an eye out on your bank account, because that grant, that advance, they called it an advance because it was supposed to be there within 3 days. It might be now that they have the program up and running. You might get it within 3 days of applying. If you haven't applied, you can do that. But if you applied previously, keep an eye on your bank account. And that advance or that grant was supposed to be $1,000 per employee. Or if you don't have any employees, you were supposed to be able to just get $1,000. The new bill also allocated $75 billion to hospitals and $25 billion to coronavirus testing. Both important, but not things we're going to talk about here because they aren't finance related. So that is the bill that, again, just got signed by the president a couple hours ago. So I'm going to peek. All right, I don't see any questions in the comments section, so perfect. So we're going to move on to the next area of update. Area of update? next update area. You know what I mean. And we're going to talk about the PUA. That's the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. So just an FYI, the most recent stat that I read just this morning says 4.4 million Americans filed for unemployment last week. And that brings the total up to 26 million. So I can't even wrap my brain around that number. It's insane, right? And this week was a big week for a lot of states to start rolling out their PUA program. That's the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. That's the program for the self-employed people out there. In order to fully understand this, I'm going to take just a quick step back. So the regular unemployment, right? Regular unemployment covers W-2 employees. The PUA is the one that it's covering self-employed. It also, you guys, is covering partially employed. Regular unemployment was, always covered if you just completely weren't working. Now, if you're working less, you can still get a portion of unemployment. All right. And if you want to get really down into the details because you have no idea about this program, we've talked about it multiple times on previous trainings, and I can go ahead and if you guys want to go ahead and watch those, you can also go to my YouTube channel. They're there as well. But today I want to really talk about the issues we've seen this week because this is what I'm getting the most DMs and messages about. So I wanted to come on here because what other people probably are having problems with, you guys might be having problems with, right? And just might not. A lot of times you just think it's user error or you just didn't know, or maybe you haven't even had time to apply yet and you were going to do that this weekend. So now you kind of will have an idea of what you might be prepared to expect. All right. So self-employed people, we're seeing a lot of people in Colorado and other states that have just started rolling out getting denied because their account shows that they had W-2 wages in the state's look back period. So in Colorado, our look back period is 18 months. So what's happening is my unemployed people out there, right? My self-employed people finally were told on Monday and here in Colorado and throughout the week it's changed, in different states it's become available. But they're finally told, hey, you can go online and you can apply for unemployment if you're self-employed. And they're going on there and they're filling out their information and they're getting denied. And they're getting denied because the unemployment system shows that they had W-2 wages in the last 18 months. And for a lot of people, that's true, especially for multiple reasons. One, some people are working W-2 wages and having a gig side job, right? And we'll talk about that in just a second. The ones that were getting having issues first and contacting me for help were the ones who quit their job to start their business, or within the last 18 months they've taken their business full time and quit their W-2 job, right? And so they don't qualify for those W-2 benefits because they weren't fired from their job, they quit. But what the states are telling us, and I have yet to find a state that goes against this, that's not to say that they don't exist, but I know in Colorado and the 6 or 7 other states that I've been dealing with on this, what they're telling their self-employed people is that you have to apply through regular unemployment. They have to go to those employers. The employer has to deny your claim. And then when you get denied under regular benefits, then you can go apply for under PUA. And that's what's really unfortunate with this is had people known this was the process, they would have applied for the regular stuff, way back when, right? But we kept being told that PUA wasn't available. PUA wasn't available yet. And then as soon as it becomes available, they're like, oh, it's available, but you got to do this first step. So that's really, really frustrating for a lot of people. All right. In a lot of different states. So there's no way around it. If you get denied because you have W-2 employee wages on your record, you just need to go file your regular unemployment, hope they get through it fast. And then once it's denied, you'll be able to apply through the PUA program. Another one I'm having, so this is an issue, but in the other way. So if your business is set up as an S corporation, if you're set up as an S corp, then you as an officer, you're not technically self-employed. For the purposes of this unemployment, you're a W-2 employee of your business. And therefore, you need to apply under the regular unemployment program. Good news is hopefully it'll be easier for you because you're applying under a program that is already up and running and existed. The bad news is you probably could have applied weeks ago. All right, so if you're an S-Corp officer, you do not apply through PUA. You apply through regular unemployment, and it's based on your W-2 wages. Okay, it's not based on the draws or the distributions you take from the business. And then, so here is where we're still finding problems. And I have not looked into this today. Yesterday was the last day I looked. Here is my group of people that are still finding frustration and trouble. Those of you out there who we call you hybrid. We don't call you that, but like your income is a hybrid method. You have money coming from your W-2 wages, and you may or may not have already qualified for those unemployment benefits, or maybe you're still working in that W-2 job, but just not getting paid very much, right? And then you had your self-employment, your side gig, your business, whatever it is, right? So you, before quarantine, before pandemic, you had two income sources, right? You had your W-2 wages and you had your self-employment. Well, now your business income has gone down, right? So you don't have that income. And well, your W-2 income, maybe it's gone down, maybe it's gone away. It doesn't matter, but it's still there. We are finding people having a hard time collecting on their PUA unemployment because of that W-2 wage amount. And the way the program is supposed to work, you guys, is that each state has a maximum that they will pay out. Okay, so in Colorado, the state maximum is $618. In theory, the way it's supposed to work is if you are not getting $618 from your W-2 job for whatever reason, but you have your unemployment or your self-employment income, you should be able to take unemployment from PUA to bring you up to that $618. That's how it's supposed to work in theory. Systems are still just not figuring out, the states have not figured out how to track that yet. I don't know if there are any states that have figured that out yet. I will have to look. I haven't looked since yesterday. And this is something that is updating, it's live. It's continually improving, and they are trying to fix it. Those are the people that just got to keep an eye on groups like this for updates. Whether it's this group, there's some other groups. If you are part of Jamie's Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners group, dude, she puts my communication to shame. Like, I'm in here once a day, maybe twice a day, right? Either with a live or an update or an article or something like that. But my goal is to talk with you guys once a day, let you guys know what's going on. And if anything else comes up, I might post a couple more times. Y'all, she is in her group like nonstop. Okay, she is on top of things. A lot of times she is my source for news. So if you're not in there, even if you're a guy, you can go in there. She's another CPA with personality, so I think you'd love her. She's not Colorado based. So if you're in this group because I'm a Colorado girl and you like me for that, then Jamie's in Tennessee, but she knows her stuff. So she's awesome. I highly recommend it. If you're just trying to get as much information as possible, as soon as possible, it's a place to go. It's another resource for you. Moral of the story is that PUA is still a mess. It's getting better. They know their problems. They're trying to fix them, most states at least. Okay, but it is still a work in progress. And I do want to mention, I know we've talked about it in all the other trainings that we've talked about, but I know we have a lot of new people in the group, reminding you guys that there is an additional $600 in federal assistance available for unemployment now. And how it reads is that if you qualify for even $1 under your state benefits, you get this additional $600 from the federal. So make sure, you guys, it's just so important that you just are informed, right? You know what to expect. You have an idea of what you should be expecting from these programs. Okay. I've gotten a few really good questions, and I'm going to start with a really fast one. And then I have another one that's a lot more in depth, but I want to go over it because it's full of a lot of good information. So the first question I got, you guys, is I completed my EIDL loan. Remember, that's the application. Sorry, it's the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. So it says I completed my EIDL application, but I'm now reading that the advance is based on $1,000 per employee. I have no employees. Does that mean I don't get the advance? And so at first we were being told that even if you don't have employees, if you're like a sole member LLC, right? It's just you should have put one in there. You should have put one, so you got your $1,000. Now we're being told, and we're actually seeing proof that that's not the case. That even if you put 0 in your employees, you should still get that $1,000. Again, we saw a freeze on this for the last week or so when the money dried up, but the money is back. It is available again. So guys, if you applied for the EIDL and you have not received that grant money yet, please keep an eye on your bank account because it should be hitting. I've seen people even today that $1,000 is hitting their bank account for them. And to remind you guys, it is $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. Or if you have no employees, you should still get $1,000. Unless you guys give me some questions in the chat box, then this is probably going to be the last question I address because it's going to take me, I mean, it's a pretty in-depth question. And I really, really try to keep these updates to 30 minutes. It just doesn't always happen that way. That's why I allow for an hour. So the question is, I got a PPP loan, and this will also apply to those of you that are maybe applying for one now or waiting to get approved, okay? So the question is, I got a PPP loan. What do I need to do to ensure it's forgiven? All right, so this is a really loaded question. So first I'm gonna back up and explain what it means to be forgiven. So you guys, this PPP loan is a loan that was set up. It is, if none of it's forgiven, if you have to pay it back, because it is, in essence, it's first and foremost a loan. It is a 2-year loan at 1%. That payback starts 6 months after cash disbursement. So if you got your cash today and none of it ends up being considered forgivable, then you would start making payments back in 6 months, and you would have 2 years to make those payments at 1% interest. Okay. And that's going to be how it applies to anyone for any portion of your loan that is not forgivable, because it's not all or nothing. It's not like if you spend $1 on something that doesn't qualify, that you lose forgiveness on all of it. How it works, let's say you get $10,000, all right, and you spend $8,000 of it in a way that they outline, that I will outline for you in a second. That $8,000 will be forgivable, or will be forgiven. And then the other $2,000 will start repayment in 6 months, and you'll have 2 years at 1%. So let's talk about how you ensure you maximize your forgivable portion, right? Like that's what we want to do, right? Even if we can't get it in theory, right? In a perfect world, we get this so that all of it is forgiven, right? And that is possible, okay? There is nothing in here. There's no, hoops to jump through, that say there's no mathematical way to have it all forgivable, all right? It can be done. We just there's rules to follow. That's the word I'm looking for. It's Friday. Real quick, before I jump into this, I do want to answer Summer's question. It says, what is the name of the grant for $1,000 for business owners who don't have employees? Does the business have to be set up in a certain way to qualify for this? Thanks. Great question, Summer. So let me actually find the website because I have it tagged. So this is the EIDL loan. It is the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. That means I just called it the EIDL. Yeah, that's right, the program, okay? So this is a program that's available in any area that suffers a disaster or a crisis. It's not something that was just created with the coronavirus. But the pandemic, they qualified you to as a disaster area. So the loan itself, we've talked about previously, and I'm not going to go into detail about all the details of the loan. But what you're going to do is I'm going to put the website here for the SBA. You're going to go in there, and it takes about 5 minutes to fill out this application. All right, they don't collect much information. A few pieces of info about your business, but mostly it's name, business, everything. The key to this is there's going to be a box that says, I want to be considered for the advance. They call it an advance. That's your grant. You want to check that box. There is a box that asks you for employees. You're going to put 0 because you don't have any. And then the way you're going to make sure you mark that box is at the very end of the application, they're going to ask for your bank info, okay, your bank routing and account number. You're going to enter that in, and that is all you need to do to get that $1,000. And I have had people already who are sole props, who don't have any employees who have gotten their $1,000 already. Okay, so I'm not sure what the timing is going to be for those of you that start applying now. Hopefully, they're able to now do that 3-day turnaround, which is what they originally, I don't want to say promised us, but originally presented this to us with, was a 3-day turnaround. This is the link that you'll want to keep an eye on, because I think they will open it back up. That's the understanding from all the news that I've read and kept up on, is that they will reopen it for these grants. So if you have not applied yet, keep an eye on that page. If you've already applied, keep an eye on your bank account. Boom. All right. So back to the getting it forgiven. All right, because this is a question I've been getting so much on, right? Like, how do we make sure we get as much forgiven as possible? So I'm going to tell you the rules, all right, and then I am going to come back around and talk to my sole props, my Schedule C filers, all right, because a lot of this we're going to keep talking about payroll. I'll explain to you what that means, what payroll means to you guys who don't actually process payroll for yourself or for any employees. How do you get your loan fund or your funds forgiven? So the first thing is, you guys, PPP loan money can only be used for certain things, forgivable or not. Okay, it has to be used on payroll costs that I'll talk about in a minute, healthcare benefits, retirement, and you can also pay interest on your mortgages, not your home office. I'm talking about if your business owns a property, your mortgage. Same thing for rent. I'm not talking about rent for your home that you take a home office on. It's rent for a building your business owns, or utilities. Again, not home office. All right, so those are the things that your PPP loan can be spent on. You get it forgiven by spending it in a certain way. So first, you have to spend it in the 8 weeks immediately following when you get the cash. Then you have to spend it on the things we just talked about, but 75% of it has to be on payroll. Okay, payroll costs. So that's gross pay, vacation time, sick time. It can count towards your state income tax, your employer paid state expenses. Your healthcare benefits qualify, your retirement benefits if you make an employer contribution. All of those things count. Really, you guys, the only thing that doesn't count when you're, like, if you're to run a payroll report, is your federal payroll taxes. So when you're trying to figure out what portion is forgivable and which your federal payroll taxes are not, you can't spend it on that. If that makes your mind blow like it does for us CPAs, we'll circle back around to how the heck you're going to figure all that out. So 75% has to be spent on payroll, and then the other 25% can be spent on those other expenses, your mortgage interest, your rent, or your utilities. All right, and anything else is going to be considered non-forgivable. And again, it has to be in the 8-week period exactly following when you get the cash. There's a few other rules that also apply, you guys. You have to maintain staffing levels. Still kind of vague into how they're going to make you prove this or disprove this or whatever. But what they're saying is that your average number of full-time equivalent employees for that 8-week period has to be the same as that same period last year. Don't get me started on where I think issues are going to arise with this, because they are, but this is how it's written. And then you also have to maintain pay levels. Okay, you cannot cut any employee who makes less than $100,000. You cannot cut their salary by more than 25%. And otherwise you risk making part of your loan funds unforgivable. All right. And the good news to that is, because a lot of people have already laid their employees off. They've already had to let people go. When you get these funds, you can rehire. Okay. As long as you rehire or you maybe you cut staffing pay, as long as you restore it to above 75% of what it was, you won't be penalized. All right. Again, I already can see so many issues coming with all of this, but I'm just the messenger. I'm working on being your problem solver, but for now, it's telling you how it is, all right, and telling you what your responsibilities are. And trust me, we are in the middle of creating solutions to help you guys. I promise. It's just a process, right? And one of those things, you guys, we are making a spreadsheet. It's all but done. So when I say we, for those of you that don't know, when I say we, I have a fantastic cohort of CPAs that I'm working with on this. It's me, Jamie Troll, who I already bragged about, and Kelly Vincent. 3 amazing CPAs that we've been working crazy hard just to interpret this, communicate it with our clients, and then start providing solutions for you guys on how you're going to do all this, right? How are you going to prove forgiveness? Well, we're making an Excel spreadsheet. It seems really simple, but we just went over all the criteria that you guys have to fulfill in order to get this bad boy forgiven. So you can imagine the complexity involved, but it's almost done. I think it's really close. And when we have that available, or when we have it made, I will make it available to my amazing community here. So just hang tight. So let me peek. I'm going to see if anyone else has any questions. We're good on questions. Okay. I will answer one more question that I got a lot in the last couple of days. I didn't put it on my notes, but I do want to answer it. So a lot of people have been told that they cannot get the EIDL advance and get a PPP loan forgiven. That is not true, but you have to be ready for some majorly good record keeping, because the rule says you cannot spend the funds on the same thing. So if I'm going to spend my PPP money on payroll starting today, because today is when I received it, going forward, then I can't say I also spent my EIDL money on payroll for that same period. But I sure can say that I spent my EIDL money on last pay period. Okay, the EIDL doesn't have quite the stringent requirements of where you're spending it on as the PPP does. All right, you just want to make sure when you're providing your support, your documentation, that you're not overlapping. All right, so you can't say I paid May rent with my PPP loan here and then also put on your EIDL that you paid May rent. That's what they mean. But like I said, with the EIDL, I can keep the EIDL and I can pay it after the 8-week period. All right, you just don't want to, you want to make sure you're not putting the same items on both your trackers. All right, that's what I almost forgot. I wanted to circle back around to payroll for my self-employed people in terms of the PPP. So for those of you out here, like Summer, hopefully she's still here. So for those of you that might get it, that might qualify for a PPP loan, and you're self-employed and you have no payroll, let me chat with you real quick. So your bank is going to use your net income from 2019 as your payroll number, like as the founding number. So what I'm saying, so your gross income is up here. That's all, there we go. That's all the money you come in that you bring into your business, right? And then you have all your expenses, your costs, everything like that. Your net income. So I believe it's line 30 or 31 of Schedule C on your 2019 tax return. Okay, that is the number they're going to use. So the first question I'm getting is, but I haven't filed my 19 return. And I'm going to answer, then you better do it if you want a PPP loan. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you if you're going to be able to get it filed in time to also apply for the loan, but maybe. I don't know how fast this round of funds is going to go, or when and if they're going to replenish it. I think they'll probably replenish again. I just don't know for sure. So let's say, I'm sorry, I say so a lot. It's just how I reset my brain. And I'm trying so hard not, I've noticed it now. And so now I'm just like, your net income for 2019 was 100 grand. Okay, you made 100 grand in net profit. All right, and I'm going to need a calculator because accountants are good with spreadsheets and interpreting the law and using calculators. They're not necessarily good at math, nor am I confident enough to believe that I can just do math on the fly when people are watching me. So if I made 100 grand last year, that's what they're using for my annual payroll cost. They're going to divide that by 12 to get your monthly payroll cost. And then they're going to multiply it by 2.5 because that's what the PPP loan is. It's 2.5 months worth of payroll. That is going to give me a loan of $20,833. $20,833. All right. Now let's forget that number. That's how you calculate it. Now let's just say I got my loan and I got $50,000 because I like 20,833 is not a number I want to do math on. Let's say I got 50 grand for my PPP loan. They say that 75% has to be spent on payroll to be forgiven, right? Well, as a sole proprietor, I don't have payroll. Well, that's where they're gonna let you pay yourself, like as a draw or a distribution. And what they're gonna let you do is take 8 weeks worth of pay. So they're, I said I want to forget it, but so they're gonna take, ignore my 50 grand. I do have to make this complicated. So they're gonna take your 100 grand. Remember, that was our net income from 2019 that they used to figure out how much my loan was worth. They're going to take that 100 grand. They're going to divide it by 52 to get what your weekly pay would be. And they're going to multiply it by 8 because remember, you have to spend the money within 8 weeks to make it forgivable. So out of our loan of $20,833, yes, I wrote it down, they're going to say that $15,384 I can just pay to myself. I can take it out of the business and call it my my officer or my owner salary, pay, whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it. The point is $15,000, what I say, $385, I can pay to myself, put it in my personal bank account, and they're going to forgive it for me. Boom. That's 73.8% of my loan. I know the math doesn't always quite add up, but that is right. I did that. So how do you get the other 27% forgiven, right? Well, if you have employees, you could pay that, like you could say you paid them. That would get you disqualified. That would give you forgiven. Okay. If you have, the problem is, here's where the problem lies. Most of us hi, Karen. Karen's one of my favorites, you guys. Most of us, if you're a sole proprietor, you don't have a separate business office space, right? So you don't have business mortgage interest. You don't have business rent. You don't have business utilities, all right? So unfortunately, your whole loan is not going to be able to be forgiven if you don't have those additional ways to spend your money on. So you have two options. You can do this calculation, this 850 seconds, right? 8 weeks worth of pay based on a 52-week salary. And you can say, that's all the money I'm going to spend. All right, I'm going to give the rest back, and you can. Or if you need the cash, you take the remaining $5,000 or $5,500-ish as a loan at that 1% for 2 years with payments starting back in 6 months. Okay, that's a decision you have to make as a business owner. I really want to talk about that because I know there's a lot of you in here that are sole props. And so, and what I'm getting a lot of is like, well, I have a home office, I have utilities, I have a mortgage interest. Well, when you're able to take that payroll to yourself, that $15,385 in my example, but what it is it's 8 weeks worth of pay based on your net salary. Once you take that, you can do whatever you want with that. You can pay your mortgage, you can pay your utilities, you can pay your bills, you can pay groceries. It doesn't matter, it's yours. Just like if you were a W-2 employee and your business paid you, a paycheck, once it's yours, you can spend it however you want. All right, I want to get that part done. All right, so those are the big updates. Those are the questions I wanted to get answered. I don't see any in the comments, but I will give you guys a few seconds or moments if you have any questions about what we talked about. Anything else, you guys, even if it's not something we talked about, shoot them at me. I got another 15 minutes before I have to be on another call. So I will answer those for you. While I give you a few minutes to put those questions into the comments, I do want to share with you guys something I am really, really excited about. So you guys, yes, summer, PPP is another one to apply for. So first, I want to tell you guys that I will continue to show up here for y'all, right? I am all about I think if you guys have been here a while, I've told you that my ultimate goal is to get all of my small business owners to the other side of this pandemic with your businesses still intact. Okay, and I believe it is part of my calling, my mission, my job as a servant leader, whatever you want to call it, but it's part of my responsibility with the knowledge I've been given by the power, by whatever you believe in, okay, to share this with you guys. All right, so I will continue to provide my Monday trainings that have to do with business finance. I will continue to provide my free Wednesday trainings in here that help you guys with just some of the more non-financial aspects of running your business. And I will for sure continue to show up here on Fridays for updates and Q&As, because this is honestly my favorite part. But I needed a way to service people who were asking for help on a deeper level. All right. And also, because I do have a business to run, I still have employees to take care of, I still have, bills to pay. I needed to also figure out how to serve these people deeper, hopefully maybe you guys, and make some money off of it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So I've started a few things. There's so many things in the pipeline. All right. I have a course coming up later. I have a membership coming up, but first and foremost, I'm talking to you guys out there who insist on filing your own tax returns. I know you're out there. No matter how much I tell you that you should have a tax preparer doing it, I know you're still doing it. Even though you're still preparing your own tax returns, and I don't believe in that. I want to help you guys out. I want to make sure that you're doing it correctly. I want to make sure you're keeping your information secure. I want to make sure you're doing it right so you're not getting audited, right? Nobody wants to get audited. No. And I want to make sure you guys are keeping as much money in your pocket as possible, taking all the deductions, all the credits, all the, things you legitimately and legally qualify for in order, to minimize your tax liability. All right. So I'm so excited to announce that in less than 3 weeks, I'm going to do a workshop. I'm doing a 2-hour workshop for people who self-prepare their tax returns in order to share as much of my wisdom with you guys to help you prepare your own tax return in the right way. And this is for you guys out there. If you do a separate business return, not for you, not talking to you. Sorry. I might be talking to you about your personal return, but I'm not talking business returns. I'm talking personal tax returns. And we are going to go over how to make sure you're doing it securely, because you are exchanging personal information. We're going to talk about making sure you're doing it right. I'm going to tell you some of the most common mistakes that people do when they're self-preparing their returns and how to avoid these. I'm going to tell you which forms are the most audited or looked at, and so you make sure you're doing those forms right. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm also going to share with you the most missed deductions and credits, and make sure that you guys are taking those when you qualify for them. All right. So this thing is going to be May 15th. It's a Wednesday. If you can't make it live and you join, you can watch it in replay. And this is just a teaser. It's actually not even available yet. I wasn't supposed to tell people till next week, but this is my, y'all are my group, you're my family. So I just wanted to share that, get that thought out there. And next week, I'll give you all the details on how to register, how we're going to, the format, all the things. But I just couldn't help myself. I had to tell you guys, I'm really excited. So hopefully y'all are excited too. And that's it. That's all I have for you this week. All right. As always, I will, if you guys have questions, anything that's bothering you, let me know, and I'll chat with you next week. Thank you, Karen. I'm super excited. And otherwise, don't forget, I am here Mondays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time with training. This week, it's part 3 of our new business series. I can't honestly tell you what the topic is. All I know is that all these topics, you guys, even if you're not a new business, will give you information that will help you in your current business. I promise you. All right. So Mondays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, we do a 30-minute training here. Next Wednesday at 2 p.m., we'll do our business training. I think we are talking about how to sell in this environment. I am crazy excited for this one. All right. In this environment right now where people don't want to sell because it's sensitive, they feel like it's not doable. We're going to talk about how you can do it. All right. I'm really excited. It's my favorite, right? Really exciting. So that's going to be next Wednesday at 2:00. And then next week, right here, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll be here with any updates that we come across in the next week and your questions. I'll be here to answer all your questions. So thank you guys for joining me. I know we had some new faces in here. I'm so excited to have some new people, some new blood. And I also appreciate my OGs like Karen, who's continued to show up for me week after week. So thank you guys. I'm off to another call. I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.